All right, guys, we're here with Elton Julian and Mark Scott from Genoa Racing. Welcome to Oversteer TV, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Uh, Um, Going over what you guys have been doing lately. You guys have been busy. Last week you were at Imola, Italy, running with the European guys, and now you're back this week with the American Le Mans Series in Lime Rock. I got to ask you, does your whole team? Do you have like one car in Europe, and one car here, or are you actually shipping the car back and forth?
Yeah, no, we have a car in Europe
Okay.
and a car over here, and we partner with a team out of Czechoslovakia while we're over there to help us with logistics like pit equipment and moving the car around. They have a transporter, and they lend us a few guys and to top up our team. Then about 6 or 7 of us will fly out to the individual event and run the event. But right now, of course, we don't know what day it is, so we've been traveling so much, but it's good fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it must be really rough flying to Italy and Le Mans, all these places. It must be tough for you guys. Um, when you guys actually been, you're having quite a successful year. You won in Sebring. You've gotten other podiums. Last week in Imola, you had the pole, but you finished fourth. I watched the race online. They really didn't talk about you guys that much. What happened? You had the pole position car, but yet you finished fourth. What happened out there?
Yeah, well, I'll start and I'll let Elton finish. But yeah, we had the pole,
Hmm.
and in post qualifying tech, we had it taken away from us. There was an infraction that it was basically what it was the rear rotors on our car didn't have the official stamp of the manufacturer on them. They were the correct rotors, but they just didn't have that stamp. Unfortunately, we weren't aware that they should, so didn't know to check for that. And of course, there's no excuse for not knowing what they want. So they're pretty hard nosed, but they do hold your feet to the fire with the rules over there, and that's a good thing overall. So we broke the rules, so they put us to the back, unfortunately, and of course Elton had done a great job getting it up there, and then he had to start again and from the back of the grid and help get us back up in front. I'll let Elton.
The race was actually, we had a tough task because you nominate your driver up to 15 minutes after qualifying. So I'm normally the closer for the team in that situation, but we wanted to change some things. We knew we had a lot of pace. We consolidated that with the pole, which was what we needed to make our strategy work. Once we got bumped to the back of the field, it was too late to go back and change the driving order, which meant that my pace had to be used up in traffic to get through what was an incredibly competitive 24 car GT field at a place where you hardly ever have a straight line. And you go over a lot of curves, and they have not only a lot of mechanical grip, but a lot of traction control, so they get out of the corner well. So it was a lot of work to get through them. Once we changed our strategy, we were kind of handicapped in the sense that the way we were going to use our tools in the box was not really going to suit us for the end result. We led for up to 3.5 hours of the race, and we were one of the most competitive cars. But the way it played out, it was going to be tough to get a better result.
Um, you know, when you run in Imola, obviously in the Le Mans series, you're racing against mostly the teams over there from Europe. Then you come over here and you're racing the American teams in the American Le Mans series. Is there a difference in the, let's say, not so much the talent, but the characteristics, the way the drivers drive, the way they behave on the course? Is there different? Do you adjust your driving at all?
No, it's the same. It's the same guys you race sometimes at Sebring or sometimes at Petit, and yeah, there's a lot of mystique about here or there, and people always view the other as something special. But it's all the same. We're driving the same stuff. We're driving around circuits. We're all doing the same thing. So there's not a big difference. Obviously, going to new circuits for our technical department is a very challenging situation because obviously a lot of the circuits here, people like Tom Knapp and Mark have 20, 30 years worth of experience with going to the same places, so you have a bigger database. Now, where we go back next year, we know what to expect from a place like Spa and where our weaknesses were and how we could improve, and the same with Imola, and we know where our strengths were at Imola and how we can maybe capitalize on those and make those situations a little bit better. So that's the only major thing that I see is just the seat time at the circuits for the technical department.
Speaking of the technical part, Mark, you're famous. You made a name in developing famous prototypes, some of the most successful prototypes there are out there. And now you're the technical director, team director of a car in a series it's basically it's a spec series. There's really not much you can at least as far as I know, I think it's just a rear wing and a few suspension things. Do you find that more of a challenge, or does it drive you crazy that you wish you can do some stuff with the aero and all different things?
Well, a bit of both, really. But for the last 10 years, I've been in the factory, watching my kids grow and all that sort of thing. So it's nice to come back in to this. I love sports car racing, and this particular formula, the ALMS, is it's very competitive. It is somewhat restricted. It's but my role is not as the technical director. In this case, my role is as the team manager and logistics, and dealing with the drivers and dealing with IMSA, that type of thing. So it's a slightly different role for me, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's a group of local guys, and they work really hard. They're a very good group of guys. They work very hard, and I think the results will show at the end.
I'd like to add also, before you move on, that
Sure.
sometimes working with a very strict set of rules, it means that to get it right, it really shows sometimes more. So it's equally hard to get it right with a tight set of rules than it is with an open set of rules where you can develop your own components. It is just as hard. You see that in fields like in GP2 and other junior Formula Series where you have teams that dominate. And there's a reason those teams dominate. It's because they're able to extract the most out of the package they're given. So there's still a science to it.
Of course. I find this kind of unique is that both of you guys are, both accomplished in your sport, but yet both of you guys have kind of stepped away from the sport for a little bit, at least in where we've seen you normally see you, and then you both have come back into the sport recently, where we see you more. Has the sport changed in that short time you were away for both of you guys? Is it different now for you guys, or is it it's just like you're stepping back in? It's like riding a bicycle. It hasn't changed.
I get a lot more emails now. But really, it hasn't changed as a great deal, really. There's a lot of the same people here. In fact, I was surprised, not having been on the road with the sports cars for 10 years. I was surprised at how many people I knew in the paddock, and so that's been quite good fun. The cars, of course, the technology does march on a little bit, but that's less of an issue to catch up with, I think, if you've got the right people. But nowadays there are a lot more specialists. You don't have any one person does everything. It's broken down to the technical aspect, logistics, all that's now very simple.
And you, Elton?
Well, our reasons for having not worked in racing for a couple of years may differ a bit. I mean, I certainly didn't want to walk away, but it wasn't easy to get rides at the time, and things kind of faded for me, and I ended up doing other things, which was fine. And then I was lucky enough that last year somebody brought me back, and it was enough to show. I showed enough last year that they kept me around for another season. Who knows what will happen in the future? But it's just interesting for me to see some of the guys that I came up racing with that have been racing this whole time, and it was a bit of a challenge at the beginning of last year to get up to speed again. But and we're not talking more than a couple of tenths, but it's a lot more fun this time for me, and it really is gravy. So it's not something that I'm overly stressed about, and I'm just happy to get the chance to do it.
Yeah, we didn't know that he hadn't been around for a while. We thought he was just an old-looking rookie.
All right, guys. One last question. Lime Rock, a very short, very twisty, very tight track. How do you prepare for a course like Lime Rock?
Well, from the technical standpoint, that's where Tom Knapp comes in. He's got a depth of experience that I think matches pretty much anyone else here. So I think we'll have a pretty good car. He's got a lot of road course and oval experience, and it's almost a little bit of oval in this track. So we may even have a little bit of an advantage there. But these cars have a reasonably wide setup window. And so I don't suspect it will be too far off.
And for me, it's this is a place I really enjoyed last year. It was the first time I was here. I was lucky enough to win it, which was great. We ran a slightly different configuration at the what they call West Bend. We ran a chicane last year. We won't have that this year. But other than that, it's a cool place. You know, it's another. You realize when you go back to racing in the States. You asked me earlier what's different or what's it like coming back. I think I spent so much time in Europe or chasing my dream in Europe that you tend to forget how many classic circuits exist in the States. And when you get this part of the season where you end up going to, Road America and Lime Rock and Mid-Ohio and Mosport, and you realize, like, man, there's some cool circuits here. So this is one of them, and it's unique and it's fun to be here.
I gotta say, the American series is probably a bit more fan friendly, isn't it?
Well, they have fans.
Well, and garages, and so we tend to see more of the other competitors and the fans.
I think that's probably true in most U.S. versions versus European versions of almost anything. So it's nice the way we do it here, and the date's a classic date, and we expect to have a lot of people on Saturday, and it's fun to have people watching. It really is.
Well, yeah, I have to vouch for that. American Le Mans puts on a great show, and they're very fan-friendly compared to other series. Guys, thanks a lot. Elton Julian, Mark Scott, you guys have been great. Thank you from OversteerTV, and good luck this weekend. We'll be watching you on Saturday.
Great. Thank you.
Take care.